If you've followed along so far, now you know what you need in order to build your application. But first, we need to go over some rules of conduct. First off is be real. That means don't lie on your Common App or activities list or anything else really. It's okay to embellish, but it's also easy for embellishment to go a little bit too far, and that can be very, very dangerous. The second someone thinks you're lying, even the stuff that was actually true gets suddenly thrown out the window. And as far as you should be concerned, until you're actually admitted, both the girl and the admissions office is smarter than you. After all, they've been listening to you for years, and people like you. So they'll be more discerning than you can ever be. I know that analogy is going to take a little bit of a dive here, but when it comes to colleges, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Keep your mind open and get ready to accept a number of different schools. At the end of the day, each one of these schools is going to want something different from ear to ear. This thing can change from ear to ear for each school, so it's difficult to guess. That means that ideally, you want to apply to as many schools as possible. Unfortunately, as the number of applications you submit increases, the quality of your applications will inevitably decrease. Conversely, however, the more applications you put in, the better your chances are at getting into at least one of the schools. So this becomes a little bit of a balancing game between quality and the number of applications you submit. Achieving this balance is going to all depend on you and only you. Whatever you do, don't just blindly listen to your guidance counselor or your friends or anyone else really. My guidance counselor told me not to apply to more than 3 to 4 schools. But for me and many of you, that advice is complete BS, to be honest. If you can apply to more schools while maintaining the integrity of your application, definitely do so. Time for a quick review. So I just wanted to move somewhere where I could read off my phone. Don't have a perfect memory. First things first is get a good SAT or ACT and maintain your GPA. After all, you are applying to a school, and if you don't hit the minimum requirements of the school, well, actually the average requirements of the school is a more accurate way to say it, you're not going to do your application full justice because your application simply is not going to be reviewed. You need to be in the basket in order to get the full 5 to 10 minutes really that your application deserves. The next thing is be interesting. And by this, really all I mean is do something that grabs their attention. Do something that when they go down your application, you want them to stop and be like, wow, I want to meet this kid. And really this thing, it can be anything, preferably non-academic. It just should show that you are somebody that the guy wants to hang out with. After all, these are people in these admissions rooms. Number 3, you want to find a hook, or make a hook. Depends on how early you are. If you're watching this as a freshman, you have plenty of time. Junior, still have time, but you want to get on that. A hook should be something that pops, catches somebody's attention, something impressive. This should be something that you should be able to go to anybody on the street and tell them, hey, I do this, or I've achieved this. And they should be like, wow. I mean, this could be, for some of these top schools, having an Intel award, or being an Olympian, or even just doing something completely out of the box and unique will definitely serve you well. The fourth one is just be honest. Sometimes you really do have to embellish on your application, and that's all right. I mean, maybe you don't have a perfect leadership role, and if you want to say that, make up a role with your friends in your club and say that you are part of that and put that on your application, that might be okay. But you need to make sure that this embellishment does not go too far. When it goes too far and becomes lying, you risk one person, somebody, one of the 3 or 4 people who might be sitting in that council room looking at your application and saying, this might not be true. And then everything else in your application, even the stuff that is true, goes to trash, which you really don't want to do since you worked so hard to build that application. So I guess just be honest. And walk the fine line between embellishment and truth very carefully. And the last thing is make sure you apply to as many schools as possible. Cast your net far and wide. That being said, your limitation should be how many applications you can make while still maintaining the integrity and quality, really, of each and every single application. The more applications you put out, the more chance you have of getting into at least one of your top picks. It's simple math. But that being said, again, you want to make sure that each one has the quality of the first. And the last point I want to leave you guys with is this whole thing really is a crapshoot. I mean, there are people who, even in my school, who I know are way smarter than I am, but they just may not have gotten lucky. Their application may not have gone to the places that it needed to go for this year, and they didn't get into school XYZ. So, I mean, that's the tough truth of it, I guess. But on the flip side of that, it really doesn't matter. I mean, you can do everything you can do at those top schools at your state school. So I guess that's it. I really do hope this video has helped, and its entire purpose is really for me to hopefully give my contribution to all the information that's out there. Thank you for listening.